Hello everyone, my name is Rahmi Febriani and currently I study in University of Cyber Asia. Right now I will present you about emotional intelligence as my final exams um, duty, I can say it. Okay. Emotional intelligence, the key to personal and professional success. And master your emotions, unlock your potential, and build stronger connection. At the first, you have to know what is emotional intelligence. So, emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, manage, and influence your own emotions and the emotions of others. This concept formulated by Peter Salovey and John Mayer, then popularized by psychologist Daniel Goleman. The core idea about this is not about suppressing feelings, but learning how to express them appropriately. So, emotional intelligence basically it's about how to maintain your emotions, how to control it, and how to make it as your strong ability to influence others. There is five pillars of EQ or emotional intelligence by Goleman. First is self-awareness, recognizing your own moods and understanding their impact in others. So you have to know exactly that your mood is your own and you are the one that responsible to to control it. When you have a bad mood, you don't have to throw it to others. But when you have a good mood, then you can thrive. You can share it. So that was self-awareness. And second, there is self-regulations, is controlling disruptive impulses and thinking before acting. So self-regulation is you have to think first before you react. You have to thinking, you have to structure your sentences or your words towards others. So and not later on you regret the things that you said. And the third is motivation. Motivation is pursuing goals with energy, passion, and persistence beyond money or status. And the fourth, there is empathy, understanding the emotional makeup of other people and treating them accordingly. So basically, it's the way you treat things others. And social skills, managing relationship, building networks, and finding common ground. So why EQ matters than IQ? The golden rules is IQ gets you hired, but EQ gets you promoted. That you have to put it in your mind strongly. Why? You need to be smart to get hired. That is right, because at the interview, the company didn't know your word. The company didn't know your skills. The company only knows what you wrote in your proposal or in your portfolio, but the company didn't know really your skills. They didn't know how smart you are. That's why you get hired because of the report of your IQ. But during the process, at the job, if you wanted to get promoted, they will not only show you for how smart you are. They also thinking about how smart you are in emotional intelligence, because when you get promoted, you get more jobs to do, And sometimes you feel also you have to what I can say, you have to talking or socialize with others more than before. So that's why emotional intelligence is really, really important. And you can also manage your stress. Why you have to manage your stress? Because it helps you to stay calm and resilient under high pressure. Resilient. It's also really good in leadership because great leaders inspire them through empathy and strong social skills. And also EQ have also the conflict resolution. Why? Because EQ allows you to navigate difficult conversation constructively. So, emotional intelligence in leadership. They have three. First is empathy as a tool. Like I said, great leaders, inspire teams. So, great leaders understand their employees' hidden challenges, boosting trust and morale. So, you get more trust from your co-worker or from your employees. Influence over authority, leading by emotional connections rather than pulling rank or using fear. So they respected you not because they have, not because they frightened by you, but because they respecting you because the way you are, because how amazing your character is, how your emotional intelligence is. That's why they're respecting you, not because they're scared about you. And then adaptability, the capacity to steer a team smoothly through corporate or organizational changes and crises. So the amygdala hijack. This is the science behind EQ. What it is? It is a situation where your brain's emotional center, amygdala, your brain emotional center, bypasses the logical brain, or in science they call prefrontal cortex during high stress. So the result of this is intense emotional reactions that you later regret. And high EQ helps you recognize this physical reaction and pause to let the logical brain take control. EQ also help you to handle difficult conversation. So how to handle it? There is a shift. You have to shift your mindset. View the conversation as collaboration to solve a problem, not a battle to win. So a lot of people, when they talking to each other, or when they make a good conversation at the first, and then it ending up arguing and thinking who's win the conversation. And actually in emotional intelligence, you didn't have to win. You didn't have to win inside the conversation, because conversation is collaboration. You collaborate your idea and your communicant idea to solve a problem, not to see who's win and who's lose. And validate their feelings, because everyone's feelings are matter. Do not trying to put their shoes on your shoes. Focus on behaviors, not character. Address specific actions instead of making personal attacks. So how to practice to boost your emotional intelligence. There is a lot of way, but I'm making it into four. So first is practice mindfulness. Reflect daily on your emotional triggers. Know your emotional triggers so you know how to solve it. And listen actively. Pay full attention to others instead of just waiting for your turn to speak. And the pause method. It is take a breath before reacting to negative or stressful situation. Just take a breath. Inhale, exhale, and then after that you react. So your mind is not going here and there. Your mind is not stressing the way. Welcome feedback. Treat constructive criticism as a tool for personal growth. So, Daniel Goldman ever said, if your emotional abilities are not in hand, if you don't have self awareness, if you're not able to manage your distressing emotions, if you can't have empathy and have effective relationship, then no matter how smart you are, you're not get very far. So it is really, really important to have emotional intelligence rather than the high intelligence, because emotional intelligence help you to socialize, help you to know yourself, help you to control yourself, help you to become more elegant, help you to become more persistent, help you to become better rather than aggressively talking or attacks someone's towards your words. That's all for me. I hope you can learn something from your emotional intelligence, and I hope we can master it, because no matter what you do in life, no matter how smart you are, controlling yourself is always a problem for anyone. And to be controlled by your emotions is really a bad and shallow thing. So to be able to control the emotions, I think is so most problem in your life, because you can think clearly, you can so many opportunity, and then you can see more ways to solve the problem rather than more ways to ignore it. So master your emotional intelligence helps you thrive in this life. That's all from me. Thank you for listening and watching this video. See you in the next time. Bye.